You know, people say that the gateway drug is what? Marijuana, coffee. Mine was cigarettes, I think, if I remember correctly. There's a chance that I took something harder before then, but it was cigarettes for me. And I still remember it. I was 17, maybe 2 weeks before my 18th birthday. And my friend had turned 18 before me. We'll call her C. C turned 18 2 to 3 weeks before me. So C said that since she's 18 now, she wants to go ahead and get the things that she could get now that she's 18, which were lotto tickets and cigarettes. And at the time, I was in an empty house. No one was there. I'm not too sure where my mother was. And my sibling was with our father at his house and his family. So it was just me there with C. And C came over and it was like really late. And she said, I'm going to go have a cigarette. You want to come with me? And it's like, I'll go with you, but I'm not touching that. I can't believe you're doing that, la 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 la. You know, insert all your judgmental excuses here. I used them all. I definitely shamed her for it. But I still went down to be with her so that, you know, I could just watch my friend that I've known since I was 13 smoke a cigarette for the first time. So I remember it was last week of December, really, really cold, and we sat out on a bench in the back of my building, and she lit her cigarette and she was smoking, and she was saying how she likes the feeling of this and that it makes her feel like calm, and she gets why after people, you know, get upset or they have sex, they, you know, smoke a cigarette. It's just like a nice feeling. And all I kept saying was, I don't believe you. You're really stinky and you're smelly and that's really gross. And so she offered for me to try it, and it's like, no, I'm not gonna try that. What is wrong with you? That's disgusting. Can't believe you even offer that to me. And, you know, she continued to smoke her cigarette and said if I changed my mind, I could just take one. And I was really depressed at the time. And at that time, I was 17. I had already graduated high school a few months before then. I graduated in June, and we're back in, you know, we're all the way in December right now. So I graduated high school. I no longer was a part of my father's side of the family. He had gotten remarried and, you know, had his own children, and I was the oldest child. It was me and my little sister, and then in his family he had a little girl and a little boy. and his wife. She was pretty young at the time. I was 17, and I think she was 29, 30, around there. His wife did not like me to be around. She felt that I was nasty and that I hated her, and pretty much convinced my father that I should not be included in family activities, and he went along with it. So, graduated high school in June. During my graduation, June 26th, I somehow managed to graduate high school, which at that time was a miracle, because this is when, I guess, the depression first, well, not first, because depression was always there, but that's when it was making itself prominent, is what I should say. And I didn't think that I would graduate high school, but not only did I graduated with honors, and got to sit up on the stage and, be presented as a VIP student. And I did that. Even with everything that was happening, I was definitely heavily involved in self-harm. And the only person that knew this was C. And, I tried, and I somehow still made it. And I thought that, it's pretty impressive. Graduated at 17, completely depressed. And as I stepped off the stage to show my mother and father my diploma, my father looked at my little sister and said, "Okay, you finally graduated. She finally graduated. Hopefully when it's your turn, you won't be the 17-year-old waste of time." And that was my pep talk. That was my congratulations. I mean, what did I do other than graduate? 17-year-old waste of time, huh? So that was it. And I, went outside, and everyone was standing outside excited, taking pictures and hugging, and with their hats and caps and gowns and their pretty little dresses and their pretty little gowns, and my mother asked me if I wanted to take pictures, and I told her no, didn't want any pictures. I just wanted to leave. I just wanted to go home, because I'm sad now, and I don't want to think about this, and I don't want to remember this day. And she said that I am a miserable bitch and slapped me, and then we went home. I also got slapped for my middle school graduation, so I guess it's just a common theme here that I'm just not meant to celebrate my successes, even though through these successes I had almost lost myself every time, and no one ever paid attention. No one saw how hard that I was fighting. But yeah, so that had occurred June. August was my father's new family, his little daughter, we'll name her Isabella. Isabella was about to turn 2, and my father had partial custody of my little sister. Okay, so within my mother and father, it was me and my little sister Jay. And with my father and his wife, it was Isabella and their son. So my father had custody of Jay, well, partial custody of Jay at the time. So because she was young, she had to be there every other weekend and on certain holidays and, you know, stuff like that because of the divorce agreement. And they planned a party for baby Isabella, and I was supposed to be there. So I contacted Jay and I told her, like, hey, you know, his wife told me that the party starts at 4 and it's already, you know, 2 o'clock now. I just want to make sure that, like, you guys don't need anything, like, you need any drinks or, like, whatever. And she said, what do you mean? The party's already almost over. And I said, how's the party almost over if it doesn't start until 4? And she said, but everybody's here. And I said, who's everybody? And she proceeds to tell me a laundry list of all of our family, family that I haven't even seen in a while. So it's, you know, cousins and more cousins and aunts and uncles and, like, family friends and their neighbors and, you know, grandparents, and everyone was there, all celebrating little Isabella's birthday. But me. And I said, why didn't they call and tell me? And Jay says that his wife didn't want me to ruin it, and my father said, okay. So I didn't understand what she meant by ruining it, but then again, just me being over there and existing was bad enough. She really did not like me. Like, you know, I was a teenager. I can't really relate to her. Like, she tried really hard to, like, be cool and relate to me, and I would try to get her to let her get to know me, and I would try to let her, you know, but I'm also a teenager, and I want my own space and my own personality, and I want my own friends. I want to be able to talk about my own things with my friends, and it's a little weird to feel like I have to include a 30-year-old as a teenager. And she did not like that I could not relate to her, and that was not instantly her best friend, and she knew that I'm a teenager, so I won't be able to relate to her, but at least I can relate to Jay, because Jay's only 11. Jay will love me if I buy her clothes and clips and a coloring book and, you know, things along those lines. So she shunned me out, and unfortunately, my father is a weak man, and he allowed his wife to push me out of the family. So that was the last that I saw Isabella and their son. Never got to know their son, but, you know, Isabella, like, 2 years, it's just, how is it that you can go and have a whole party and everyone's there but me, and no one's like, hey, where's your daughter? Where's the oldest? Like, no one mentioned, no one was bothered by that, like no one reached out to me, and my father allowed that. Just, really showed me that I'm not a part of that family. And so, yeah, that was the last that I saw the kids. And a little after that, my father had taken custody of Jay, and it's pretty much the last that I saw of her too. So I lost my family. And all that was left was me and my mother. She lost her daughter. And I had nowhere else to go and no one else to talk to other than my mother. And I'll explain as time goes why being left with my mother was not, it wasn't a saving grace, but yeah. Anyways, so that was August. So from August to December, I lost my family, my siblings, my father, and left with my mother. And I'm sitting here watching C smoke a cigarette and just thinking, I don't know what it's like not to be sober, but I do know that I don't want to feel like this. And so I took a cigarette and had her light it, and the first initial hit that I took, I immediately choked. It punched me right in the back of the throat, and couldn't stop coughing, couldn't stop hacking, just ugly, just gagging, choking, terrible, just bad. And I was like, I don't get this. Why do you even like this? This is terrible. No. And C explains that I did it wrong, and that I have to inhale slowly, and blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna try not to get into specifics with this, because I'm not, not trying to give tips on how you should properly smoke, but yeah. The point is, she said to try again. So I tried again. And I inhaled, and I took it in slowly, and as I exhaled, I had this new feeling where I felt really, really lightheaded. My head felt really woozy and airy and different. And I was like, whoa, what is this feeling? Whoa, I like that. Can I do it again? So I took another hit. And again, really lightheaded, just literally, it felt like the world was spinning just a little. My vision did get blurred some, but it was a nice feeling. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it felt nice just not to feel anything else. For once. And so I, took another hit, and I decided that I wanted to try and stand up and take the hit, and I took the hit and stood up, but like my knees got weak and my legs buckled, and I collapsed to the ground with like how dizzy I was getting. Like, I guess the high that I was getting off of this, I know it doesn't make sense because you're like, you can't get high off nicotine. Listen, the first time that I smoked a cigarette, I felt like I was high, really dizzy, collapsed to the ground, like laughing hysterically, like wondering, whoa, like, why is my body doing this? How did it do that? What is this feeling? And it just felt nice to be in that buzzed state. And pretty much that was the defining moment for addiction for me. And next time I had a cigarette after that, it wasn't for a few weeks. I was in community college at the time, and I was flunking out of my classes. I definitely took on too many classes. I think I put on like 6 classes a day, so I was there from 8 a.m. to about 9-10 p.m. at night every day, traveling 2.5 hours back and forth from my house to the college. I definitely put too much on my plate, and at the time I just felt like I wasn't smart enough to be in these courses. Like, I just went from high school into college, and I was smart in high school, but somehow I'm really, really stupid in college. How is it that it's day one and I already have no idea what everyone else is talking about, and somehow everyone else gets it? How is it that everyone else is getting it and they're like, oh yeah, periodic table Lazila, it's blasey blasey blah. How do you guys know this? Why don't I know this? I just felt like I was struggling and like failing every class and just falling way behind, and I just didn't understand, like, why am I so stupid? Why is this so hard? Like, I definitely put a lot of pressure on myself and held myself at a very, very, very high standard. So the fact that I was failing just, this was around, let's say, February, March, almost about to be, what is that, mid-winter semester? I don't know what they call it now. But it was about to be that next one. I already barely passing this semester, and it's around time that I have to register for the next semester. And we're paying for college, and I'm paying to fail my courses, and I don't want to tell my mother because she's not okay herself. I just don't know. I don't know what to do. So I found someone smoking on the side of the school, and I just turned 18 at this point, so I could have bought my own cigarettes, but saw someone smoking, asked someone for a cigarette, they gave it to me. I lit it and then took the hit. Again, my legs buckled, but I was outside and I didn't want to collapse to the ground, so I just remember leaning on the building like I was holding it up. Like all my weight was pushing into this building, and just feeling that high again. That feeling of just dizzy and woozy and able to let go, and just feeling that and nothing else. Feeling the high and nothing else. And yeah, pretty much continued from there. I'm 29 now and still smoking. Pretty terrible. I'm trying my best to quit, but man, like, it's the hardest thing that I've ever had to try to quit. I mean, it's not, but it's definitely not something that you can just stop. Though I've tried, and I learned that I can't just stop because I'll become hysterical and, you know, anxiety and just shaky and miserable, and so, you know, still trying to figure that out. But it all started with the cigarette.